Hello and welcome to
Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why. Hi.
Hi, Dawn.
It's Dawn here. I forgot the second part of my lines there. I'm still feeling a little off. It's Dawn here, and I am joined by my trusted partner, Matt Pickett.
Hello.
Hey, Matt. How are you tonight?
This plays us backwards from what I think it's going to be. So I was trying to point at you, and I was like pointing at nothing. That was weird. I'm good. I'm good. What can I say? Happy to be here as always, Dawn. I think we might have a few people joining us for the live version of the show. A few more people maybe than last time. Hoping for that. And what can I say?
Exciting halftime for an exciting game.
I think Andy Herman just tweeted, like, if you're not cheering for a 0-0 tie, are you even a fan of football?
Right.
I was cheering for that. And the Commanders had to go and mess that up by actually getting some points on the board. Or as Al Michael said, points on the board. Where else would they be? Which I thought was funny. So Don, how are you this week?
I am doing well. I'm already over the London experience. It's like, okay, well, that wasn't exactly what we wanted, but hey, you know what? It's football. I mostly just felt for the folks that were there, but I was super refreshed and I can't find my word because I'm not feeling well, but calmed when I saw somebody post, and I think it was Dara.
Dara, you got it. Nailed it. Yep.
Okay. I think he said, for those who went to the game in London, are you more or less excited about the Packers or your next, something along those lines? And I mean, it was overwhelmingly, I stopped reading after like a million comments. Everyone was like, more. So one game doesn't define a team. And we're probably feeling worse for them than they're feeling about it. You know, we're the Packer parents kind of worried about our kids over there in Europe. So how are you doing? How's your week?
I mean, it's a good week. Like I said, no complaints. Can't say anything like particularly good or bad has happened this week. It's just like I can't remember if I said this last week, but like getting into the mandatory advising season of my job is just kind of like the comfort of the predictable. Like it's a very busy time. It's like nonstop movement, but it's like I know it's going to happen, and so it's kind of easy in that way. But we went to a parent-teacher conference tonight for my littler kid. And we're happy to hear that she is contributing in class, helping the other students, is, modeling good behavior, getting her work done quickly. I mean, it was not like a surprise, but she's in first grade. So like, it's kind of like it's untested, sort of uncharted territory for her at this point. And so, I'm still kind of glowing from that, I think. So kind of excited about, how good my kid is doing. So I think that's where I'm at right now. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, sign her right up for Mensa, I'm sure. I wouldn't be surprised. They seem like I just feel like you're a great dad, and I'm sure your wife is a fantastic mom from what I know. So
I think she is.
Yeah, I'm sure she is. Well, that's great news. Yeah. So I'm not what did I have to say? I put some notes here. What was I gonna say? I was going to say, it was kind of a weird week with kind of weird news and all that. But overall, I'm just kind of like blown away. It's week 6 of the NFL season. Week 6.
Yep.
That's more than a quarter. So, I just love the high spirits of the Packer fans over in Europe. And, that's just really encouraging. I just saw somebody propose to someone in London. Like it was a guy from Wisconsin who went to the game and proposed to his girlfriend in London. So now she's going to move to Wisconsin. It's just so cute.
Oh, wow. I love that.
I love it too. I love it too. So, not too much to say about this game.
The game that's playing right now Thursday night, or do you mean the coming
Half,
Packers game?
yep, halftime. Oh no, the halftime, the
I
game we're
say,
in right now,
plenty
Thursday
to say
night
about the game
football.
this weekend, but yeah, no, the game right now it's awful, and I can't wait to watch the end of it because last week's terrible game was hilarious at the end with Twitter just kind of like just piling on,
Yes.
tweet after tweet on top of that game. So that was actually
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
surprisingly fun by the end of that. So if we get that same kind of vibe tonight, I'll be really happy about that.
I think we will because the first half has been pretty funny already. Most people don't like tonight's uniforms for the Bears, but I think they're okay. I think I can do orange and white.
Mhm.
I'm not a fan of orange and brown or orange and a dark color in general. So like orange and a heather gray or a gray, orange and white. And my favorite is orange and taupe.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
That's not
So
bad.
yeah, and I don't wear a lot of orange, but once in a while I wear orange. I should have worn it tonight. I'm thinking about it. But here's the other thing I was thinking about. We're going to have daylight savings thingy happening like 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
They haven't
Yeah, like
abolished
2 or
that
3 weeks.
yet.
Is it 2 weeks? Is that how long it is?
It's the 13th, so I'm guessing 2 more weeks.
Sounds about right. I was thinking it happened in November, but I really am not like at all sure about that. So I don't know if somebody knows in the comments they can
Yeah,
throw in
when daylight
daylight
savings.
savings starts or
Yeah.
ends. Does it end or does it start? I'm actually not clear on that.
I
When
have
we
no
switch,
idea.
when we switch the clock.
We switch and I get mad and I don't like it. It's like just leave it alone. And I was hoping, wasn't there a presidential candidate who actually ran on that? Was that Pete Buttigieg, whatever his name was? He's the Secretary of Treasury.
That sounds familiar, but I can't quite remember who it was. Yeah.
I mean that would have been worth it. Yeah, I can't stand it. It just makes me just crazy. But it's okay. I don't care about the weather and the daylight. It doesn't matter to me.
Well, the weather doesn't change by you, right? The whole year.
Right.
So
just let me sleep and leave me alone and stop messing with my clocks. I'm confused enough as it is. So yeah. So what do you think about this coming game, the Jets?
2 weeks ago, I would have said, like, yeah, this is gonna be an easy win. And
Right.
like, I want to believe that it is, and I want to believe in the, LaFleur never loses back-to-back games. They come out looking really extra tough, after a loss. And I think that it might be too simplistic to say it, but it does seem like when Aaron Rodgers has people kind of counting him out, that's when he like comes on strong. So like this could be a career game for him, or we could just see things falling flat. There's been so much good analysis this week about like what the Packers' problems are, and man, everyone who contributed to that, we'll be talking about a few of them tonight. Like I appreciate it so much, but a lot of it from a lot of the commentators and a lot of the analysts kind of comes down to like they have problems that they are not necessarily close to fixing, and like maybe they could, but there are things standing in the way of that from happening. And so I worry, is Joe Barry going to put aside his pride and like do what is like the best scheme for the talent he has, or is he going to keep doing what he thinks is right with his like zone defense that is not utilizing his players to their fullest ability? Like what's going to happen with that? And like on the offense, can we just do the stuff that works?
Right.
I'll just give the ball to Aaron Jones. Can we just do the things that actually work? Like I do think that, because all the pieces are there talent-wise, I mean, I still have a very good feeling about the team as far as for the season goes. And even if we make it in as a wild card team, like that's all we need, because by then hopefully we have everything figured out and like we're good.
Right.
So like for this week, am I worried about the Jets? Like kind of, but only kind of, mostly not. Like I guess I'm feeling like 80% confident they're going to win this game, and I wish it were more than that. 2 weeks ago it would have been like 99%.
Yeah,
there's more doubt in there, but
yeah,
but I still feel good about the Packers. How about you, Dawn? How are you feeling about this game?
I mean, kind of the same. I mean, I honestly feel like we shouldn't have lost any games yet in terms of how much talent we have compared to the teams that we've been playing. So because of that, it's like, okay, maybe it is kind of a coaching thing. And what I mean to say by that is like the run pass option shouldn't even be an option anymore. If it, you know what I mean? It's like we gotta pull back. I was encouraged that Rodgers took an extra day off. I think he hurt his thumb too or something, but to think about things, and I'd rather have a win than a couple of really great plays. right?
Yes.
Yeah, you know, great plays are fun, and we love it when Rogers does that, but it's just not happening right now. And I'd like to. It's just kind of like the the old adage, and I don't know if it really is an old adage, but like if you're if you're traveling and the score is close, you go for the field goal, not the touchdown, in order to look get things closer instead of going for the just kind of go with what works. And
Go with what
because of
works.
that, I kind of feel like, okay, does LaFleur have the ability to rein Barry in and just say, look, this is what needs to happen. I'm the head coach. I mean, he's the head coach. I don't know how that stuff works. And same thing with Rogers. So I did a little poll, and I asked, and I got quite a few responses. Is the offensive flailing because of coach or because of quarterback? And most said quarterback. And then same with the defense, is it the head coach or is it Barry? And most said Barry. Most said Barry. But at the same time, there's a head coach that can crack the whip. And I know it's not easy to do at that level when you're dealing with people at that level, but I think it's possible, and I think this is going to be a defining season for Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Overcome the adversity, dealing with the new parts, dealing with Devontae. It is interesting because it's like we can't really know what the discussions are behind closed doors, and like if we were trying to assign blame, that's a futile exercise because we can't really know how all those inner workings go. But I would say that Dusty's analysis of some of the plays from this week and like those kind of lunchtime things he's doing, which I've been loving, by the way.
Yes.
I mentioned it last week. He did a few more this week, which were great. The way how he breaks it down is that his conclusion is that it's not about Aaron Rodgers trying to force things and a lot of those plays that didn't work. It was more about like the receivers didn't quite run the right routes, didn't quite execute the concept correctly. So, and this gets to something that we'll talk to a little bit later that Maggie Loney said. It's like they're trying to do things that are just too fancy at this point, and is going beyond like what they're able to do. So it's like there's a great scheme, but it's not the right scheme for where they're at for the offense. So I think that's kind of like that's a big issue. And I wouldn't say it's the quarterback. I'd say it's like a bigger thing than that.
Right.
But as far as the defense goes, I think that's Barry. That's where I'm putting the blame right now for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and hopefully LaFleur can rein him in and bringing things back to a simpler, basic level. That's also the coach. It's the players and all that too. But yes, so he's got a big job. He didn't sleep at all after London, and so. Well, let's get to it. Let's get to those superlatives. I have a feeling I know some of them that you're going to be mentioning. I haven't looked at it yet, but
I hinted at a couple already. So.
Right, exactly. Do you want to go ahead and just be more specific about those ones that you just mentioned?
Let's do it. All right. Today, how about today? Let's go mine and then yours, and we can just comment on each other as we go. So, to the listeners, you think we would work this out ahead of time, but
we don't. We
never think to. So, after the game, obviously left a bad taste in our mouths collectively as a fan base, and at least it was early so that we got it out of the way. We're able to kind of move on with our days. Heard of a lot of reports of people going out like doing things outside, touching grass, getting away from it, which was great. But for me, the apart from getting away from my screens to go do other stuff, which I did do that day. One of the best therapy things that I had for that day was that they did a pack a day episode as reactions to the game. I think they didn't try to put one up before the game because it would have been like no one's going to listen to it. The game's on early or whatever. I'm not sure. I'm just guessing at the rationale behind it. But anyhow, Jimmy Christensen and Todd Varney did a show together to have reactions to the game. And the thing that I've said before, and I'm going to say again here, is that Jimmy and Todd's role in a show like On Brand Off Topic, and to a slightly lesser degree, but still definitely is there, in Lombardi's Bar, is to, be like funny and kind of, not kind of funny and definitely vulgar. And, there's good takes and everything like that, of course. But when you put that all to the side and you're and like they're doing a pack a day episode where it's like they can't be vulgar, first of all, and the goal isn't necessarily to be funny. Of course that comes with it a little bit, but when you distill Todd and Jimmy down to their good takes and they're focusing on, you know, their reactions and their thoughts about the football game,
Mm-hmm.
man, Dawn, they are
Yeah.
so smart. They know so
Yeah.
much about this stuff, and like their ability to like break down what they saw and articulate it and give their opinions about it, just it impresses me every time. So I
Mm.
love when they get Todd on the show and he reins it in and just is like, you know, focused Todd. I love that.
Right.
And so hearing them talk about it helped me to, you know, there's a little bit of like, yes, exactly, kind of getting that out of your system, and a little bit of
Right.
like, man, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that way. And so it's like that
Mm-hmm.
good mixture of like, just it feels cathartic and
Mm-hmm.
gets your brain kind of like thinking kind of in a more, you know, organized, ordered
Right.
direction. So they killed it. They killed it. Did you listen to that one?
I did, and I listened as soon as it came up, and then I had to listen to it like 3 times because I woke up so early for this game, and I haven't been feeling well still, so I fell asleep during it like 3 different times. So it's like, hey, you got 3 listens there, but it was that good too.
Yeah.
It's like I have to go back and listen to this again because I'm so half asleep, and I do think I was a little sleepy during part of the game. I missed parts of the ending, which I think is probably a blessing
Yeah,
because
well,
I think I would have been I was just like, did this just happen? And can I go back to sleep? Which I couldn't, but I was just drowsy all day. But yeah, it was very good. And I know what you mean about, you know, reining it in and focusing. Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah,
In contrast to what they normally do on their other shows.
yeah.
So they're
Normally it's the
brilliant.
chaos.
It was brilliant. It was very good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
totally.
Yeah.
I'm glad you heard it.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one that I have here is best observation, and I did hint at this. So in the like earlier in the week, Pax What She Said,
Yeah.
I actually clipped this and posted it on Twitter. Maggie had this analogy about how what the Packers are doing is, I want to make sure I get this right, and I think I'm going to forget part of it, but basically like sacrificing good for perfection, like trying to, you know, go for like these really complicated, interesting concepts, like I was talking about with the offense. And because they're doing that, they're not doing what works. They're not getting to the stuff that they can actually do. The sort of analogy that Maggie was talking about was like a term paper or a thesis paper she had to write as a senior in college, I think is what it was. But the analogy was so good. I was just like, yes, exactly. Like they're trying to do too much at this point, and they just need to do the things that work.
Right.
It really, I thought, was a great just distillation of what seems to be the problem with the offense, and I just really appreciated it. I feel like it really resonated with me, I guess, as I'm trying to say. So
Yeah.
the whole episode is great, but that specific
Right.
like, you know, minute and a half or whatever was just brilliant.
It really was. And not only because we're early in the season, but because of the changes on the team and the fact that we don't have our star, you know, wide receiver and all that. So it, for so many reasons, that made so much sense. And it was reassuring to hear that. And that's why going into game 6 at this point, win or lose, isn't scaring me. And I also remember, and I keep reminding myself, that Andy Herman said, look, all that matters is how we play toward the end of the season.
Yep.
Now, we might end up as a wild card and not clinch the North, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, at the rate we're going, but early days. That's how I like to say it.
Whole lot of season left.
Yeah.
All right. So I should do my next one, Dawn.
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. This was best analysis, going to Ben Solak, writing for The Ringer, with his article, "Are the Packers issues about scheme or talent?" Yes.
Yes.
And even then, Andy Herman had him on the show as a bonus episode of Pack a Day, where they got into the article a little bit, kind of got into some other conversation around it, but just as Andy said at the end, just kind of scratched the surface of the article because it was so good. If anybody out there, any of our Packers fans, listeners, haven't read this article, as soon as you're done listening to this, go check it out because it's so insightful. I mean, Ben Solak is just a brilliant football mind, and like, I may not agree with every single thing he puts out there because I've had some disagreements at times, but like, it's always well thought out, and I feel like his analysis of the Packers where they're at right now was so good. It was so good.
And everyone was retweeting that too.
Yeah,
I think it resonated with a lot of people. Yeah,
it really blew up on Twitter. Yeah, like yesterday I think it was, and even through today. And to kind of like boil it down, I actually kind of was saying some of this stuff earlier. So a lot of these thoughts are definitely like parroting what Ben said. So, hat tip there on that. That the offense has the has the scheme, but not the players at the level they need to be to execute that scheme. And the defense has the players, but not the scheme that works for what they're trying to do here and with the talent that they have, and not maximizing the talent.
Yeah.
And the way how he like talked about it, illuminated it, put in demonstrations of it, just like the whole thing. It was one of those just like outstanding articles that needs to be read.
For sure. And you put those two things together, you've got, as somebody who doesn't know anything like me, that's why you have problems on both sides of the ball. And that's why you're losing games, because you can't have problems on both sides of the balls like that. So, yeah. And everything Matt mentioned and everything I mentioned in the future here, we'll have those links in our show notes so that you can click on those. If you haven't, you need to consume that content before Sunday.
Before Sunday.
Before Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild that the special teams are the best coached unit.
Isn't that crazy? Oh my gosh. Exactly. That is so ironic. I guess that's not, is that an ironic? Is that the proper use of irony?
I think it's fair to say that. I mean, there's always debates about like what constitutes irony, but I think that they were so bad, like in 31st or 32nd place in terms of the rankings. Last season, to go from that to being like kind of our best phase right now. Like, I think we call that ironic. I think so.
Like we were in the top 10. Everything else is falling apart, but special teams.
And I actually have a bonus fourth superlative here, which I usually don't go for that, but it was so good it needs to be mentioned. So this was the best rant from the week. And so on the Wednesday Pack-A-Day, they knew they were building to this and answering the listener questions from the week. And when they got to the point where they're like, okay, now Steve's going to take over, and he's got some questions to reply to. And Dusty and Sarah, you could feel them like kind of just like getting out of the way. It's like, this is your spotlight on Steve. We're going to just get out of the way so he can just go to town on this.
Man.
And the thing that he stressed is like, these were good questions that people, asked. He wasn't trying to like insult those people, but it was like, all these were like the sparks that lit the tinder that blew up the building, which was Steve going off and including a slide whistle sound effect to stand in for every time he wanted to say like a swear word, which of course is hilarious. So you're like laughing at like the slide whistle thing. You're laughing at Steve, like, being a cranky old man. But you're also like, yeah, Steve, you're right. Because Steve was like, if I could boil it down for him, it was basically like, for the people who are overreacting and saying like the season is terrible and the Packers are awful and all that kind of stuff, it's like give me a break, because we're still so early in the season. They have a lot of time to figure things out, and we always knew they're gonna be filling things out, or figuring things out. I mean, also feeling things out. That like to have these overreactions now is just like insanity. And I mean, it's definitely the case. Like I agree with him full stop on that. I mean, on Sunday and even like early Monday, I had to just like get off of Twitter and be like, okay, this is enough overreacting. This is enough, like, a bile, like, okay already, folks. So Steve really articulated that well on that particular rant, which was beautiful.
That was pretty funny. I was like, wow, because I usually listen to that like at midnight here on Tuesday night, or first thing Wednesday. So I was just like, wow, I was half asleep. He's really mad. But I think that ranting is okay for a little bit. We don't have to go, because it helps us deal with what our expectations were, just as as humans, and then also analyzing the game and consuming content the way that we do, and reading and taking in the content and the analysis helps us also feel a little bit more in control, even though we have no control over this football team. It just helps us understand things and get our minds around what's happening and what might happen in the future, and like give us the why, right? That everyone's always looking for. So yay Steve on that epic rant. Love it. I always love everything they do, but I didn't get a question in, but I was kind of like, I'm glad I didn't get a question in, because I might have get yelled at. Because that's how I would have felt. I would have been like, oh It was really funny. I love it. Yeah, we need to let that out, and I'm glad he did. I think he did it for all of us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, let that
Yeah.
out. Exactly. It's because, like I said before, it's like cathartic to
Mhm.
to express that, just to get that out. Exactly.
Right. I think that's why people are hating on the Bears uniforms tonight so much. It's like they're not that bad. Orange and white is not that bad.
It's not
You're
that
just still mad about London.
bad.
And that's okay. I can totally understand. There's things that I was like annoyed with too that I shouldn't have been after that game.
Hold on. What do you have for your superlatives for this week?
Yeah, so I'm going to bring you the first one is going to be from my Fraternizing with the Enemy
Ooh.
series. And this one just kind of came up at the last minute. I'm calling it Biggest Coincidence. And this is, you're all going to be like, this is my true crime meets NFL. Bill Kappelman is Georgia Kappelman's father.
Who are
And
those
you know
people?
who either of those people
No,
are?
no, sorry. What? Who?
Maddie, have you heard of the Kappelmans? Okay, so Bill is George William Kappelman, and he's a former NFL quarterback in the NFC North.
Oh, okay.
Okay, which blew me away. So he was drafted by the Minnesota Vikings in the second round of 1970 draft, but he also played for the Lions later on in his career. He played college football at Florida State Seminoles, also known as the Noles. I happen to know that because I have somebody who's a fan, and was highly productive and decorated and still treasured by Noles fans. He rewrote the Florida State record book over his career from 67 to 69 when we were, well, were you born? I was 6 and 8 years old. So he claimed all career and passing records, and I still think he still holds some of those. But
okay.
Yeah, 42 touchdown passes during that time. But the most important thing is he's the dad to Georgia Kappelman. So who's Georgia Kappelman?
Yeah, got me on that one. Who is Georgia Kappelman? Tell me all about it.
I'm sorry. My true crime friends will appreciate this. She is a rock star attorney. She is a top-notch lawyer prosecuting the Dan Markel case, in Florida, where they're from. And so she's now the, I think she's a chief assistant or something like that, prosecutor in the DA's office in Tallahassee, Florida. And they have a lot of murders there. And this one is a conspiracy. And so it involves a whole lot of people. There was a podcast about this that kind of caught my attention, and I've been following it. That podcast was downloaded 30 million times.
Ooh.
So most people, chances are a lot of people will have heard of it. They were on 2020 with this family and stuff. So it was a big conspiracy. It'll probably come up again. In my superlatives. I've been guesting on a YouTube channel with another lawyer, not her obviously, but with another lawyer who is pretty much exclusively covering this murder case, because there are already 3 that have been tried and in prison. There's one awaiting trial who was arrested, but there are 3 more that have yet to be arrested, and we know who they are. And so it's really kind of there's a lot of people who are really interested in seeing justice in this case, because it was awful. It was just an awful crime, and I'm not going to go into that. But Georgia is Bill Kappelman's daughter, and she is the chief assistant state attorney at the offices of state attorney in Tallahassee. And her profile on her LinkedIn is a stands for justice, and we gotta love that. So yeah, she's got an NFL father. I kept hearing about Georgia Kappelman having this NFL. People were dropping that. I'm like, who's her dad? And I was looking up the name, and then finally someone mentioned it this week, and I was like, oh, finally I know who this guy is. So NFL players, can have really impressive children too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. So now that I know the context, right? Now that I know the context, can you go back and say that the opening sort of like statement about this superlative? Now that I know what's going on.
Yes. The opening statement is best biggest coincidence,
Okay.
because I'm so into that trial and like really into it. I'm being on YouTube and everything about it. And he's an actual NFL player because
Wait, so you're telling me there's an NFL player whose daughter is an attorney in a trial that you're covering? That's amazing, Dawn. See, now I understand. Now I understand. So no, that's awesome, because as I think you must have said when I was trying to piece things together, it is a great intersection of like your loves, your true crime, and your football coming together. So that's an excellent superlative. Sorry it took me forever to get up to speed on it, but that was great.
I'm probably not really great. I'm not the greatest explainer. I know I shouldn't.
No, you said it well. No, I refute that claim, Don. Absolutely refute that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so Georgia, we love you, and this woman doesn't get sleep at night. I mean, she is working so hard on this case. I'm sure on all of her cases, but this is a big deal. And so I'll leave that link to Bill, and maybe I'll leave a link to the YouTube channel that I was on this week. And if you're interested, you can kind of check out this trial. And also probably the Over My Dead Body, which is a podcast, which is riveting. And it's their first series, so you have to go down and get the first one, and it's called Tally for Tallahassee. Yeah. My next two are a little bit more lighthearted and short. So, best post-game quotes, and this is game day, but after the game. First one, and so this is the theme. There's two parts. First one from a fan. It goes to super fan Abel Gonzalez at Abel Gonz, Gonz, replying to Matt Schneiderman's question to Rogers. And his answer, Abe, the fan, was, and we know what the question was. We probably know what the question was. Doesn't matter if we know what the question was, because his answer was, I manifest you guys run the ball. Dude only had like 20 likes on that. And I like Abe. So Abel,
underrated comment. I'll go find that and like it. Actually, that's awesome.
It'll be in our show notes. It'll be easy for you. And then from a player goes to, of course, you'll probably be able to finish. You probably know who the player is. And quotes. I'd put my money on giving me or AJ Dillon 2 downs to get 2 yards. I'd put my money on it. End quote.
And the thing about that quote, if I can jump in here, Don, is that like it's only part of what he said. Again, it sounds like him being like kind of like, whoa, Aaron Jones, what are you doing, man?
No.
But the whole rest of the quote is like, because we care about the team, and it sounds more Aaron Jonesy within like all of the whole thing.
100%.
But boy, oh boy, was that a quote that like lit the Packers Twitter on fire. Holy cow.
Well, and he said it, and that's not, it's a little bit out of character for him. For him to even say that, because he's very measured. But no, and he's, of course he qualified it by saying I can't see what Rodgers is looking at or what he sees on the field. And no, it wasn't in any way like, I mean, I do think there's probably some stuff going on in that locker room, just because Rodgers spoke from the podium and he was kind of speaking about what Jair said, and you shouldn't be sending messages from the podium to your teammates.
Absolutely.
If it's going to stay in the locker room, it should for everyone. Keep it. But I don't care if you keep it in. If you don't want to, you can tell us everything. We're good with that. I don't want you to keep it in the locker room, but I'm not into repression, but if that's the way it is, then everyone should do it. Yeah. And Cody Krupp at Cody W. Krupp, had an interesting, I think he's the one actually who is credited with clipping that, right?
He's the one who was interviewing Aaron Jones and got that
that's
quote.
Right. And with the clip. And then Aaron Jones, there's an article from Clutch Points as well, which is a little, fluff, but Aaron Jones, but not, I mean, it's worth mentioning. I don't mean it's total fluff. I'm mentioning it because, it's called Aaron Jones puts Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur on notice with play calling comments after Packers lost to Giants by Jason Pratt for Clutch Points. And he embeds Cody's clip in there too. So, so those are my My superlative, what was it? Best post-game quotes. One
That's
from
what
a
I was.
player and one from a fan.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Abel Gonzalez has got that few likes because that it's good.
I know. That was
That's
excellent.
really good.
It might have more now, but hopefully it'll have more after we mention him on our
That's
podcast.
right. Go back and give that quote some love, folks. It's brilliant.
Super fan. Yeah. So that's it. I've got all kinds of other things to say, but I'm going to keep it quiet, keep it in the locker room. No, I don't think, like you say, I don't think it's a great idea to just go on about one game. And like you say, we don't know. There's a lot that must be going on because we have an awful lot of talent, but we also, sure, we were watching, what was it, EQ on Sunday and Devontae playing and catching balls and stuff. And it's kind of hard. We lost our receivers. Might not have lost both of them had we known what was going to transpire. But, I think we're going to be fine.
Yes.
And
yes.
you know what? Being fine meaning, winning the division and getting to the playoff. For me, that's what it means. But honestly, after the last couple of seasons, I'm like dumbing it down a little bit. It's like being fine just means enjoy the game every Sunday and pretend you're a player from, I won't mention the team's name, another team that never wins, and just be like happy.
Either tonight's teams playing tonight's game.
Pretending like you're one of those teams. And God bless those fans. Yeah. So, any final thoughts you have for us, Maddie, before we log off?
I don't think I have anything apart from just to keep in mind that we always knew this team was going to be a work in progress. We always knew it was going to start rough and they'd have to kind of find their footing and work some stuff out. And we can see those things progressing. We can see, Dobbs kind of starting to put things together and he has flashes, which we can see that's what I think he's going to be reaching, but he's getting there, the defense is full of so many people. It's got to get good. And it has been really amazing. Third down defense has been the best third down defense. We shouldn't always be getting to third down, but there's so much good that's there. And I think just hang in there. Just hang in there. And quick side note, Katie, thanks for joining us there in the comments. Really good to see you there.
Over there.
Peeking.
Katie.
A little behind the scenes stuff here is that Don's going to show me after the show how to do the admin stuff. So next time I'd be able to throw Katie's comments on the screen. So Katie, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah. So what we do is we do 3 weeks with a guest and 3 weeks with just us because it's extra. And so that way we can kind of bring it back and make sure we're sticking with our show philosophy and touching base and all that. So, because when we have a guest, so nice for you to join us during halftime. It looks like the Bears have a touchdown.
Oh, good for them.
I just turned it on. Okay, I'm going to make one more comment about.
Go for it.
Okay, so Amazon Prime, why do I have to click watch 4 times? If I click watch once, that means I want to watch the game. Okay, so it's watch live. It's I don't need to click that many times. I get annoyed with that kind of stuff.
That's hilarious. I mean, I had to just subscribe to the NFL Plus thing, the lower tier one, not the one where watch the
I have
all
that.
22.
Yeah.
So because eventually I was I don't want to have to deal with trying to find the game in weird places and stuff like that. I just want it there on my phone so I can have it on when I'm washing dishes if it's not a Packers game.
Right.
Focus on it if it is a Packers game, of course. It's
so I know it's Thursday on. Oh, so you can watch it on that because I have NFL Plus too. I didn't know I could bypass Amazon.
Yep, just watch it on your phone. It's a better interface for sure. All right, Don.
The NFL Plus interface isn't perfect either.
It's not perfect, but it's better than that other stuff.
Good to know. Good to know. All right, I learned something new.
Okay,
Daddy,
me too.
Bring her home.
Me too. So, friends, of course, you'll find links in our show description for everyone we mentioned, so please check it out. Also, we'd love to have a chance to interview you and shout you out if you're a subscriber and a football fan. If you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our podcast, please let us know. Our DMs are open on all the social platforms, and that includes if you want to nominate yourself, just tell us. We're happy to have you on. And
Absolutely.
folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us to keep spreading the love in our community. And the best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it with your friends and family.
That's right, Maddie, because we love you. We're so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL.
Mhm.
We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod. And we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme, bad stuff happens.